Welcome into the debut episode of Working from Home with Washburn. And we've got an unbelievable guest for our debut episode, Justin Herbert, 6th overall pick of the LA Chargers in last week's draft. He's going down to LA to be the future franchise quarterback at some point, whether it's in week one or some point this season or seasons to come. Justin, thanks so much for doing this, man. It's been a whirlwind of a week, but debut episode on Working at Home from Washburn. This has got to take the cake, I would imagine.
This is huge. Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
So take me through what the last week or so has been like for you, because this is a dream every young sports fan, athlete has, and you've experienced it, but you've experienced it in a unique way, just like all of us. And that's kind of the premise here. We're both at our respective homes. You're with your parents and your brothers. So give me a sense of what the last week's been like.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I've been dreaming of ever since I was little, and would have been great to be in Vegas for the draft, but to be able to spend it with my family here in Eugene, it didn't take away from the excitement. And I didn't want to get too involved with the whole process because I don't have much control over where I go. But all along I had my hopes, and I'm really glad that LA worked out.
It is kind of wild when you think about your story, where you're from, and now where you're going. There's a lineage of Chargers quarterbacks recently, names like Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees, but the name that obviously has been brought up a lot for good reason is Dan Fouts, who started his career at Oregon, then was a Hall of Famer for the Chargers. Was this your team growing up? And because you don't have a pro team in Oregon, and when you think about the fact that you're next in line here at that quarterback position, it has to be, I would imagine, hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, kind of like you said, without having a pro sports team other than the Blazers, you kind of have to find a team to root for on the West Coast. And whether that was the Seahawks, the Chargers, the 49ers, we kind of just had to pick a team. And for the most part, it was the Chargers. We had the jerseys, the shirts, we had it all. So watching guys like LaDainian Tomlinson and knowing about Dan Fouts, it's a really cool experience to be here.
When you now have some time to reflect after the draft, the process leading up to Thursday night is kind of a minefield. And from everything I read and saw from your comments, you seem to manage it really well. But now that you're removed from it, what's your biggest takeaway from the way that people analyze you guys, especially at the top of the draft in that quarterback position, heading into what is a real gamble for teams?
Yeah, I think it's such an important position, such an important time in everyone's for the organization. So they need to be critical. They need to do all their research. They need to know everything about us. And I thought it was an incredible experience because it's one that not too many people get to go through. So I tried to enjoy it. I tried to get better, learn from as much as I could, and come out on the other side. And I think it's just an incredible opportunity to go down to LA. And I'm so happy that it worked out.
And not that you would dwell on it, but what do you think now was the greatest misconception and the thing that made you, when you were at home with your parents and your brothers, chuckle when you'd either read something or one of them would say, hey, can you believe so-and-so said this? Because, look, all prospects get a lot of commentary around them, but there seemed to be a lot of they either loved you or they didn't for you heading into this thing.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that people think I'm really quiet. People think I'm an introvert, and I think anyone on the team would tell you differently. I probably talk too much sometimes. And I think another one of those things is that I'm a poor leader, and I'm not a rah guy. I never have been seen as fake, or I want to be myself. I want to be real and genuine. And I know that's one of those things that I've done a much better job these past 2 years. And I can sit here and tell you comfortably that those two things aren't an accurate representation of myself. And I've done a good job of answering those questions.
Absolutely. And now you get the chance to get down to work and not worry about all that stuff. But you don't get to get on a plane and get down and start working with Anthony Lynn and that entire staff and dive into time with your teammates because of what we're dealing with on the outside, which we all know is very serious. But how are you now that you know where you're going, getting a sense of what this offense will look like? Give us a sense of the prep now that you can have communication with the staff and they can send you things, I'm sure.
Yeah. In terms of what we can and can't send, I think we're waiting to hear back from the NFL. And I'm driving down there Saturday to get working with my quarterback coach and to get back to lifting and running down there. It's where I trained in before this draft process. So going to head down there Saturday, get ready, get going, and hopefully we'll hear back soon so I can get the stuff going.
Well, that's good to know, because as we shift now to some fun stuff and get to know you as a person and have some fun. And again, the theme here is we're all coming to you from home. And it sounds like your home's going to shift to LA here shortly. But for a while, and really your entire life, you've spent it in Eugene. But specific to the last few weeks where you've been at home with your two brothers who are both accomplished football players, your dad and your mom, paint the picture of what home life has been like during what we're all calling quarantine or stay at home.
Yeah, it has been a little tough, but we've done our best to stay safe, stay inside. And my dad's been working from home, so he's got his living room is now his office. And my older brother, he works at a Slocum Orthopedic Center, so he's there from time to time. But Patrick and I, my younger brother, we go play catch, we go lift, and we got a bunch of weights in our backyard. So we're staying busy. We're doing our best to stay busy and trying to find things to do throughout the day.
And when it comes to life in Eugene, and now you leave it really for the first time, as I mentioned, I mean, you grew up a mile from Autzen Stadium, and this has been your life. And I'm sure you've experienced other environments and gone away on trips and vacations, but this is the first time you're going to live away from that setting. What does that make you think? Is there any trepidation to it, or are you really ready to get outside the nest, as they say?
Yeah, I really enjoyed living in Eugene, growing up here and being around. It was a great spot for me to grow up in. And I think this is one of those situations where I'm really looking forward to getting out and being on my own. And the 2 or 3 months that I spent training down in Orange County on my own, I really enjoyed. And there's just something about being independent, setting your own schedule, doing all these things. It's just football now. And so it's one of these situations where I'm just really looking forward to it. And it's been one of those things I'm excited about.
No doubt. Anybody who's spent any time in Southern California, it's hard to leave it every time. So yeah. Specific to that, what are you looking forward to away from the football field and all the work that we know you're going to put into? Is there a celebrity you're looking forward to running into at Starbucks? Is it just being near the beach and the ocean? Well, what are you outside of football looking forward to most when it comes to the LA lifestyle?
I've heard there are some pretty nice golf courses.
Okay.
And so I'm not much of a golfer. I hit the ball pretty far, but not very straight. And so it's one of those things I can spend endless time trying to improve my game.
If you had to pick, though, and we'll go away from the sports field and then maybe into the sports field, but you do experience this when you're in LA. It sounds like you've been down there some, where you'll just be walking down the street and, hey, there's some movie star. So if you had to pick somebody, you'd be like, it'd be pretty cool to see them at the gas station while I'm filling up the ride. Who would it be?
I would say either Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler. Those two guys are pretty funny, and it'd be really cool to see those guys.
It's two good ones. I'm sensing a theme here, Justin, that you like to laugh, which is a good thing. But I don't know how Will Ferrell would feel about seeing an Oregon Duck. He might. Yeah. He's a big USC guy, so he might not have the nicest things to say to you. But not a bad choice when it comes to celebrities out in LA. How about athletes? I think I saw on your Instagram you had a picture with Jeter from maybe that Super Bowl week. There's LeBron out there, Cody Bellinger. I mean, the LA athlete landscape's pretty good as well.
Yeah, I'd say LeBron. I kind of grew up watching him as well, and it'd be pretty cool to see him.
When it comes to being a Charger, we talked about the history you've had with this organization as a fan growing up, and obviously Dan. But one of the things they did this offseason in recent weeks that was fun to see is they debuted these new uniforms. And it's kind of an ode to the past with the powder blues and different combos. Is there a combo as you saw them being revealed that you thought, man, it's going to be awesome to be wearing those?
Yeah, I think the powder blue is pretty cool, especially with the yellow pants. I would say that those are probably my favorite jerseys, and especially coming from Oregon. We know our jerseys pretty well there, so it's been a good process to go from there to here.
Oh, man, I couldn't agree with you more. The powder blues with whatever that gold or yellow or however you best describe it is an absolute winner. And you're right. I mean, it's going to be weird for you to be a pro and have less gear than you had as a collegiate athlete. But I guess that's what happens when you're playing for Phil Knight's University. As we look at what life has been like at home, I can look at you and seeing pictures and seeing stuff. I mean, you got some lettuce, man. What you got going up top is pretty good. And I'm a man who takes pride in the hair as well. I'm just asking advice here. How have you managed not being able to go get a trim or go to your favorite barber, stylist, as I like to call them. Are you just letting it flow? Is mom or dad or bro taking care of things? What are we doing with the hair?
It's just gotten too long. And like you said, it's tough because when you can't go get your hair cut, it just keeps growing. And I really trust my parents. I don't know if I trust them cutting my hair. And so I'm sure as soon as everything closes down and I can make an appointment, I'll get it cut.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like with what you've got going on, the free-flowing look actually does better than maybe some of the crop looks that now are looking a little rough. So you're in good shape in that regard. As we wrap things up here, if anyone doesn't know your story away from the football field, you are an incredible student, and biology is a focus of your family. I think I read that your grandfather and your dad are both and were biology teachers. So it's been something that is just in your blood beyond being an unbelievable athlete. So give me a sense first what that has meant to you and maybe what it's meant to have an outlet away from sports to put your time into. And then I want to ask you just a couple questions to see how sharp you are here on your biology knowledge.
Yeah. So having my grandfather and my dad, they were both biology teachers at one point and just kind of was always around biology. And when I went to college, wanted to study something I was interested in. And my older brother studied biology. He's going to med school within this year. And it's just one of those things that I enjoyed doing. And I enjoyed going to class and learning about. So it was kind of more of just an interest of mine. So it was funny the way it worked out.
Are there any comparables or things that you can take from biology and employ them into how you study for football? Because anyone who knows football, it's an incredibly challenging mental game beyond just being a physical one as well.
Yeah. One of the things that I think it's more conceptually with biology, it's like, if this happens over here, it causes this, and there's a chain of reactions. And I think the same way with football, if they're bringing pressure from over here, they've got to change the defense in this way. They're going to top it this way, rotate that way. So you kind of look at the similarities like that and kind of realize, hey, there's some stuff going on here. But between the two, probably not too much. But other than that, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Well, let's see how sharp you are. These are 3 SAT questions from the biology section. So you were a TA. You were teaching kids as a sophomore. So if you struggle with these, we might have to rethink how we're viewing Justin Herbert, the biology expert. First up, if an organism has, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, has a haploid number of 28, how many chromosomes does it have?
56.
You got it. All right, we're 1 for 1. Question number 2. What do you call small round bacteria that grow in a chain?
In a chain?
In a chain. What do you call small round bacteria that grow in a chain?
I don't know.
Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce this, so maybe you can help me. Streptococcus?
Streptococcus. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
either,
strep, and then it's OCOCCI.
Yeah.
Does that seem right?
Sounds about right.
Oh man, are you bummed that you missed that one?
I didn't know that one. So.
Oh well, hey, you know what you can fall back on? Playing football, because you're going to be a professional football player. You are a professional football player, a top 10 pick of the LA Chargers. Biology can just be a hobby, but you might want to dive back into the books here in these last few days that you had before you really dive into that playbook. Justin, can't thank you enough for taking the time here. First episode here of Working From Home with Washburn, and we look forward to watching you. I look forward to catching up with you and meeting you in lead up to some games there in LA. Thanks so much for the time.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate it.